Got a new sponsor here on the Dallas Cowboys. We're to tell you about it. It's RexMD. More on them coming up here in a little bit. But RexMD is the #1 FDA-approved telehealth for men. 90% off, and you only pay $2 per dosage at rexmd.com/chat. If things are maybe not going the way you need them to in the bedroom, if you're lacking confidence a little bit there, RexMD is offering generic and branded Viagra or Cialis, Everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver it discreetly to your door. Up to 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage at rexmd.com/chat. It's a limited time deal. Let's break down the Cowboys playoff picture here. Where things sit overall right now in the NFC. The Eagles are 10-1. They are the #1 seed as we sit right now. Vikings at 2, Niners at 3, the below 500 Bucs are 4, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. That's right. If the playoffs began today, which of course they will not, and they got to play each other a bunch still too, the entire NFC would be in the NFC East, would be in the NFC playoff picture, which is kind of crazy to think about here. The Cowboys will focus in on them, right? They have the Colts this week, Texans next week. They are the #5 seed. They've actually got a fantastic chance of making the playoffs, but it might not be as anything more than a wild card team. They're 2 games back of the Eagles, a game back of the Vikings with the head-to-head tiebreaker if it were to come down to that. Now, the Cowboys are 4-1 since Dak returned. They blew that game against the Packers. That hurts them significantly. So instead, they are 2nd and 2 games back of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, they get the Eagles again on Christmas Eve, but you're probably hoping that at that point you're no more than a game back of Philadelphia, because by then it makes it very challenging to catch up the full 2 games, even if you trail one, because let's be honest, do we think the Cowboys will go 6-0 down the stretch? That's a lot to ask for out of any NFL team, and it's probably a bit on the unrealistic side. So the first question here, will the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East? Type in Y for yes or type in N for no. Those, of course, the 2 options. It's the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Will the Cowboys win the NFC East? Y for yes, N for no. Ad plays, let it play it, and then head down there and get those votes in for me in the comment section. Here's the overview of where the Cowboys sit odds-wise. So I'll spend time here. I'm using the New York Times playoff upshot simulator, so it basically takes every game and here's how they're favored, the odds, here's the percentage of them winning if they're a 7-point favorite, whatever. Factors in the projections across the season. As of right now, and this will change every week, up and down, minor adjustments, whatever. Cowboys have a 21% chance of winning the division. That assumes that they plays out the way they're projected to and whatnot. 14% chance at the #1 seed, 5% chance at the #2 seed, then 1 and less than 1 for the 3 and 4. So because of where the Cowboys are at right now, if they win the division, they're almost assured of having the 1 or the 2 seed because they're games ahead of the Niners and Bucs right now in the 3-4 seed race. But the overwhelming majority favorite right now is the #1 wild card spot, 69%. 9% to be the #6 seed, 2% for the 7 seed. In fact, the New York Times gives the Cowboys a 99% chance of making the playoffs right now. Chiefs, Giants, Cowboys are all sitting there and the Eagles too, and the Vikings as well. Sorry, not Giants, Eagles, I misspoke. It's the Vikings, Eagles, Cowboys, and Chiefs all have greater than 99% chance of making the postseason. Now, they can't even clinch for a few more weeks, but the reality is the Cowboys would have to have a historic collapse in order to not make the playoffs this year. We'll break down what the Cowboys need to get that #1 seed or the division, all that stuff, but this team should be viewed as a very clear-cut playoff contender. Now, RexMD has made the process a whole lot simpler if you're maybe lacking some confidence in the bedroom. All those nights where you're a little nervous or maybe you just had too much to drink. There's nothing worse than not being able to put the stick shift in drive when you need it the most. Have no fear, RexMD is here, spreading cheer this holiday season, even if you have a few too many beers. RexMD is FDA approved and the most trusted leader in men's telehealth. They have sponsored today's Cowboys Report and help you always be prepared. They've made it simple, easy, cost-effective to help all the men out there who help them last longer and feel more confident in the bedroom. They make getting generic and branded Viagra or Cialis easy. Everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver it discreetly to your door. No waiting rooms, no embarrassing trips to the doctor, no insurance or copays or blatantly obviously labeled medication on your doorstep so all your neighbors find out. Not what you want, I know. Take advantage of the best deal they've ever offered. See up to 90% off. And only pay $2 per dosage with our exclusive link. That's RexMD.com/chat. RexMD.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are available to get started. That's RexMD.com/chat for up to 90% off. You can give the gift of pleasure this holiday season with RexMD because especially come holiday season, there's some fun times and you want to make sure you actually deliver where it matters the most. That link is in the comments section and the description on today's video. Let's begin with the Cowboys' schedule here, where they sit right now. Final 6 games. You're going to be favored in anywhere from 5 to probably about 4 to 5 of them. Tennessee, Philadelphia are your tough games. You got to start with wins here, right? Colts, Texans, trap game at the Jags before Christmas Eve against Philly. That Thursday night game against Tennessee is going to be tough. And that Commanders game might end up mattering a hell of a lot more for Washington than it will end up mattering for the Dallas Cowboys, which makes it important to consider. The Cowboys are 8-3 right now. I think most of us would happily take 5-1, even though we want 6-0. Even if they went 4-2, that's a 12-5 mark this year. And that's something we pretty much all would have taken at the beginning of the season. But now that we're here, we want a little bit more, right? We're hoping to get a little bit more success from that standpoint. And that's what we're all aiming for, right? We want to have actual playoff success, and getting the highest seed possible helps you obtain that. It just makes it easier. So what record will the Dallas Cowboys finish with? Are they going to go 12-5, 13-4? What's it going to be? Make those predictions for me right now in the comment section. Now, when it comes to actually getting that number 1 seed, even though the odds say it's still possible with a loss or two, I think you pretty much have to go undefeated. I don't think you're going to get 13-4 number 1 seed because of where Philly's at right now. They right now have, if they lose a game, I should say, the Cowboys' odds for that number 1 seed are basically cut in half, and that makes things a lot more challenging, looking at 7% chance. And that's independent of whatever the Eagles end up doing, right? They have the Titans in Week 13, the Giants in Week 14, then the Bears, then the Cowboys matchup. The Eagles' schedule is not as easy depending on which version of the Giants and Bears show up. Titans is going to be a tough game for Philly, and they're coming off a loss, Tennessee. They need that one pretty badly. Week 14 at the Giants, by the way, that's not an easy matchup either. Week 15 at the Bears, if Justin Fields plays, matches up decently. But by Week 18, after a bad Saints team they play, not that impactful. Are there 2 losses on that schedule for the Eagles, including the Cowboys? Maybe, but that's still asking for a decent amount from that standpoint. By the way, Philadelphia can clinch a playoff spot with a win, a Commanders loss, a Seahawks loss, and a Niners loss, which I don't foresee happening, at least not this week. The other team we have to be aware of is the Minnesota Vikings. Remember, you have the head-to-head over them. That matters. Jets this week, Lions next week. They can also secure their own playoffs with a win and a Lions loss, which might actually happen for Minnesota. As weird as this is, they can secure the playoff spot first, and they probably won't get that number 1 seed. Their schedule is also not that challenging. Jets, Lions, Colts, Giants, Packers, Bears, they'll probably be favored in all of those games. Now, I'm sure there's a loss somewhere on that resume for Minnesota because going 6-0 in any stretch is very, very challenging. But it does make it a little bit more complicated in terms of getting that number 1 overall seed when you are a game back of both of those teams right now. We will keep you guys covered on the entire playoff picture for the Dallas Cowboys, so make sure you're subscribed. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Free videos every single day right here on the Cowboys Report. Final thing before we go. I'm going to do this every week, and I'll remember to put it on Twitter as well. Week 13 rooting guide. What outcomes should Cowboys fans be cheering for to make themselves or help themselves out the most? The first 5 are very obvious, right? Bears over Packers. Help your strength of victory if it comes down to it there. Jets over Vikings. Titans over Eagles. Dolphins over Niners. Saints over Bucks. All makes sense, right? The last 3 can go either way. Commanders over Giants. I think the Commanders are worse than the Giants, so I'm going to cheer for them. But it doesn't really matter that much in terms of, well, they're both going to probably be behind you in the wild card race. Falcons over Steelers. I would rather play the Falcons than the Bucks in the if it's the 4-5 matchup. So I'm going to cheer for the Falcons, but I don't know if that really is, because at this point the wild card for Atlanta doesn't concern me. And then Rams Seahawks. I go back and forth there too. I think I'd rather play Seattle than the 49ers, but I think Seattle's a decent football team, and I would almost want the Commanders to get over them. So those last 3, I put the asterisks there because I'm just not sure from a math perspective, it doesn't really matter that much, and it comes down to preference, and at that point, it could go either way. Of the non-Eagles Vikings teams, especially if you got to play one of these teams on the road in the 4-5 matchup, which one scares you the most? F for the Falcons, 4 for the 49ers, S for the Seahawks, or B for the Buccaneers? Let me know in the comments which of those 4 teams scare you guys the most.